Hello everyone. So in today's class we will see what is capacitance. So before what we need to start by defining what a capacitor is and how we go about finding that one. Now almost many applications of electrostatic that we have been studying so far, electrostatic field, one of the most significant application is to find the capacitor. Capacitor pop at various places. You take a solid state device such as MOSFET or a BJT, you see that there are capacitor associated. Whenever you have two conductor or two charge layers separated by an insulator, there is a capacitor. So capacitors are present in every place when there are two charges or opposite polarity separated by insulating layer in between. Of course, in many applications, the transmission systems such as transmission line or coaxial cable or a microstrip lines, the capacitors are quite natural because they are transmission line. So in transmission line, they are modeled in terms of circuit quantities of resistance, conductance, inductance, and capacitance. So in that case, capacitance must come up naturally, and we want to establish method to calculate capacitance. So in turn, it turned out, although the problem is so fundamental, there is no closed form solution for different kind of geometry. There are certain geometry as simple as parallel plate capacitor that can be solved using any of the technique that we have developed. In fact, we have to go for numerical technique to find out what the actual capacitance of structure is. So our idea would be to consider situation or geometry of capacitor and make certain approximation so that we may be able to obtain some closed form expression. But please note that these closed form expressions are obtained for a simple case only, not for very practical cases. Okay, so we have given enough introduction about capacitors and we required capacitor. The point about capacitor is that although are we are used to thinking that capacitor are some sort of parallel plate or different kind of capacitor, capacitors are simply geometry function, in the sense that the geometry of arrangement of conductor determines the capacitance. Okay, so in fact capacitor or capacitance of capacitor is nothing but geometric arrangement. So it is actually arrangement of geometry, or different geometry arrangement can give you different capacitance value. So we will start with two arbitrary conducting faces. Phase 2 is charged with all negative charges here, and then conducting body 1 here is charged with positive charge. So we know that if you take these two charge bodies and place them at some distance, you will see that the electric field lines are going to generate from positive charge and they will terminate on negative charge. Okay, all the field lines you are seeing that they are starting here and ending here, right? So there could be seen lots of electric field line going from one body to another body. So these are the field lines you would see from one body to another body. Now to generate these charges, you can take two charges initially uncharged but then apply a battery that will induce charge. Okay, so if you apply a battery, that would induce charge, and this application of battery would cause a potential difference between the two conducting bodies. However, these conductors, we have just discussed that the conductors are equipotential surface, so keep that in mind. We define capacitance as amount of the charge stored in one of the conductor, because we assume that they both are storing equal amount of charge. So C is equals to charge divided by potential difference that exists between two conductors. If you are considering the battery and applying voltage of V, how much of charge gets stored for every volt that you apply defines the capacitance, and capacitance is measured in Faraday. Okay, now the definition of capacitor we have seen. C is equals to Q by V, and the amount of charge that get stored on a given conductor for a given potential is the function of how the charge are induced, right? So they must be related to electric field that they are going to produce. So now, how charge related to electric field? Charge stored, we know, is given by volume charge density, that is there on conductor, one conductor that you are considering. Volume charge density, that is integrated throughout the volume of a given conductor, and if that is the conductor 1, then it would be charge stored on conductor 1. And how do we define potential difference between the two conductor? Well, we have already seen that this must be line integral of electric field. So you have line integral of electric field from conductor 2 to conductor 1, assuming that conductor 1 is at lower potential and conductor 1 is at higher potential. This one is at higher potential, this one is at low potential. So now here is one important question. What path should you take? I have one conductor. So the answer is that conductors are equipotential surface. So this is equipotential surface. So I do not really matter which path I take. I can take this path, I can take like this or like this, any path I can take. The most important, it doesn't matter which point you take on conductor, right? You could, for example, have two conductor and your path could be any direction. The reason why all these path work is because at all the point in one of the conductor, the potential difference is 0 and the potential is actually constant. Okay, and difference is 0 but potential is constant. So all point on second conductor, the same thing, potential is constant on each conductor. So the difference in potential, if you want to calculate, you can start at any of these points that we have talked about and you can follow any path, because in electrostatic condition the potential difference is independent of the path that you follow. Okay, so now we are going to discuss about two parallel lines capacitance calculation. As the name suggests, two parallel lines which are of certain radius and a certain distance. So let us say the center to center conductor, these two conductor, the center to center conductor is spaced at 2h and you want to find out the potential difference between these two cylinder. So this is my x-axis, this is my y-axis. What happened is that the charge get concentrated heavily towards the side that are facing each other. Okay, so this will get distributed on the surface which are facing each other. So heavier concentration or denser concentration on the charge near the surface which are facing each other, and it will be weaker charge distribution at the far away end. The far away end of the cylinder have a weaker charge distribution. In net, what happen is that the charge distribution is not symmetric or uniform. However, I can resolve some resemblance of uniformity considering a line charge, not exactly at the center to center spacing but slightly offset. We are not considering here, it is slightly offset. Slightly offset from this, we will consider them to be charge distributed at a distance of 2s separation compared to 2h separation for conductor to conductor spacing. So 2h is the conductor to conductor spacing, whereas 2s is the charge equivalent charge density to density spacing. So the line charge density is still the line charge density is, this is rho L, this is rho L negative. So as we assume a uniform charge line charge density rho L, how they are not located at the center of the conductor, how do we proceed? Well, to proceed I need to use the potential. I need to find out the potential at point P on xy plane. Now these are two cylinder, the potential would obviously be because of superposition of two potentials. So consider only one cylinder at a time. So let's say rho L cylinder, positive rho L cylinder, we will consider at a time. The potential of this with respect to certain reference point will actually depends on the distance of R1. Okay, so it will be VOP1 R1 by R0. For negative, it will be distance R2. Okay, so to obtain the total potential on point P, we will add them and we will use the log rules to solve it. So we will get the value. I know that this can be written as R1 divided by R2 by using log rules. So the potential due to positive is actually rho L2 pi epsilon, and due to negative is minus. That's why it is like this. So now what is important to note here apart from all these things is the potential would be exactly equals to 0 when the ratio R1 by R2 is equals to 1. So when ratio R1 by R2 is equals to 1, it means that all the point which are equally distant from the positive charge density and the negative charge density, when they are equal, then the ratio will be equals to 1 and the potential VOP will be 0, which satisfy the condition will be equals to 0. In another word, this happens on y-axis because all the point on y-axis for this case that you have seen, they would be equally distant from minus as well as from positive charge density. So because of this, when the ratio is equals to 0, the potential will be equals to 0 and y-axis is this 0 potential that we are considering. Okay, now the right R1 is greater than R2, therefore the potential will be positive here. To the left, R1 will be less than R2, so all the potential will be negative. So these are the equipotential surfaces that I am drawing. To the left these would be negative, to the right these will be positive, and you see that these equipotential surface are center, but these centers are not exactly concentric, they are slightly different, right? So this is equipotential surface, and you can see that if you want to calculate potential, you need to actually calculate the potential to take any point P xy that will be required for calculating the capacitance. You just take any point, take the mirror image point. If you calculate the potential at mirror image point, that will required for calculating the capacitance. So we will come to that in a minute. So y-axis is 0 potential point and the potential is log R1 by R2 dependent. So first we will find the equipotential surfaces. To find equipotential surface, I need to look at the case when this potential is constant. At all the point at that particular surface, the potential must be constant. Let us denote R1 by R2 equals to K, where K is the constant, and if I start giving different value of K, then I will get different constant potential or equipotential. So if it is equals to K, what in terms of X and Y? R1 in terms of X will be like, this is my S value and this is X value because this point is X and Y. So this will be X plus S and this will be X minus S if I am calculating with respect to this point. Okay, and then I am applying actually Pythagoras theorem. So this is my Y, this is my X plus S, square of them will give me R1 square. Similarly I can calculate R2. Okay, so therefore the ratio R1 by R2, which is equals to R1 square by R2 square, is equals to K square, which is given by this equation. When we rearrange this equation, after rearranging we will get this. So remember, K can be both greater than 1 or it can be even less than 1. So if it's greater than 1, the potentials are positive. We have seen in last slide. K is greater than 1 means what? R1 is greater than R2. Okay, so the potential will be positive. If it's less than 1, potential will be negative. Okay, so I will get this equation, and if you will see, I have x square, s square, 2sx. So if I multiply, or sorry, add or subtract both the side, s k square plus 1 k square minus 1. Why? Because this is looking like s square, x square, s square, 2sx. Okay, so if I take this quantity, I can actually simplify this equation. So if I add both the side, I will get this equation. Okay, so you can show that this is valid or show this, and I will leave this as an exercise to you. You can solve so that this is the case. Okay, and now what is the conclusion is that those equipotential surface have turned out to be circle of center located at s k square plus 1 k square minus 1 on x-axis and y is equals to 0, and the center of circle and their radius is given by 2k s by k square minus 1. So we denote this s k square plus 1 by k square minus 1 as some h, and that would be the center of the circle. So h is my center of the circle, where a is the radius. Okay, so first consider what happened case goes to infinity. We will look at what happened as k changes to both of them, center as well as radius. So first I am considering k goes to infinity. As k goes to infinity, h goes to s. Why? Because since here if you will see, numerator will become, if I take k square common, it will become 1 by k square, 1 minus k square, common k square will get cancelled. So here if I am putting k square equals to infinity, these two terms will become 0 and I left with 1, and 1 multiply s will be h approaches to s. Okay, so h turns to s. So the line charge can be thought of as centering at origin for k goes to infinity. Okay, so I am repeating. So the line charge can thought as centering at the origin for k going of infinity. What happened to the radius? Denominator becomes k, 2, denominator is k square. Okay, so if I take common again, so it will become 0, sorry, infinite, so a will become infinity. If I take common, it will be like 2s k 1 minus k square. So this will be obviously 0, but this terms is infinity, so a will be 0. Okay, so however radius is going as 1 by k. So k goes to infinity, radius goes as 0. So the circle radius keeps on getting smaller and smaller while the equipotential point or the center of the circle moves towards s. Okay, center is moving towards s and radius is becoming smaller and smaller. So this is very important for you to remember. Consider what happened, k equals to 1. When k is equals to 1, we immediately find that h will equals to infinity. So radius of the circle would also be infinity by these two equations again. So we will look at two cases, k tends to infinity, h tends to s and a tends to 0. The circle radius goes to 0. The circle radius becomes smaller and smaller and goes to 0 while the center of the radius moves from h to s. When k is equals to 1, this is interesting case. When k is equals to 1, h goes to infinity and then a is also becoming infinity. Okay, now what would be the relationship between h and a? So whether it would be greater than 1 or it would be less than 1. So you can show that when you are actually do is h by a, you can calculate this. It will be equals to k square plus 1 by 2 ks. Okay, and k is equals to 1. You can see that the ratio h by a would actually be greater than 1 in that case. So the ratio h by a will be greater than 1. What it means to us? The center of the circle keeps, this is the center of the circle, it is moving towards infinity, and the center of the circle goes towards infinity, whereas radius of the circle, so the center goes from here, and the radius you are looking at, the radius of circle would be less than the distance from origin. So since the distance from origin to the center is less than the radius of the circle is more than the radius of the circle, so the circle would never cross the y-axis. That is important. So circle of infinite radius at infinity will not cross y-axis. So potential to the entire region of the space towards the right side of the y-axis would be positive potential. Similar argument for the other case, k goes to, when you consider negative potential 1 by k, you will see that the potential would always be in such a way that the circle of infinite radius would not cross the y-axis. So there is no overlap between positive and negative equipotential circles. So with this we are now ready to consider the capacitance structure. So let's just summarize. When k is greater than 1, that is R1 is greater than R2, the circle on the right and positive equipotential. Circle on the right will give you positive equipotential. And when k is less than 1, this implies that R1 is less than R2. The circle on the left, they will gives you negative equipotentials. And VOP goes to infinity, implies k has gone to infinity. In that case h is equals to s and a is equals to 0. Similarly, when VOP is 0, which is really y-axis, where my potential is 0, y-axis, the picture implies that k is equals to 1 and h equals to infinity, and the center of the circle is toward infinity, and the radius will also goes towards the infinity. So now circle with infinite radius is essentially a straight line. We will see this infinite radius circle later when we discuss Smith chart, when we discuss again transmission line. So however, in this last example, h by a is always greater than 1, indicating that the circle would not actually cross or crossover between the two. Okay. Now our problem is very simple. Let us begin just writing the equipotential. So I have equipotential surface which are on x and y axis, located in this way. So I have two equipotential, one for positive and one for negative. Note that they are not just two, they are multiple. Okay. So these are the constant equipotential surface that we are considering, and they are all circle. We can see that the center is moving towards infinity, whereas the radius is moving towards 0. And then I have, and you can clearly see why symmetry was not helping us. Gauss law could not help used here, because the equipotential surface are not really symmetric. They are not concentric circle. They are all changing their centers depending on the value of k. So this is k is equals to 0 circle, that the potential progressively increase on this side and decrease on this side. So what do? All I have to do is consider to any constant potential, and I can replace those potential conducting surface, I can do that because conductors are equipotential. All I have to do is find two conductor, one conductor I put at whatever potential I want to calculate, and I will take conductor and put on the mirror potential that I want. So I take a conductor here, this yellow one. This is a conductor of a certain radius A, and I have a consider a similar mirror potential on the left hand side, and consider another potential, and I get two conductors now. Also I have done this, I have taken these conductor and I have inserted them in equipotential surface, and I have not changed the electric field. This is very important. A metal can be introduced on equipotential surface without changing the electric field. This is very critical thing that you have to remember even after later when we discuss again the transmission. So I have taken two circles, which means I have taken two metals, the yellow ones, and I have placed them on an appropriate radius. For example, if I have a radius is given as A, you take two equipotential surface of radius A and place the two metal surface. Having done that, I need to still find out what is the potential difference between the two, and from there calculate what is capacitance. So let us say pick a point P over here, which is unfortunately at a very short distance of R2. I will pick another corresponding point, mirror point P prime, where distance is R1. Now if I know, now ask what is the potential difference between P and P prime. So how you will get? You will calculate the potential at P point and then you will calculate potential at P prime. So we have calculated potential for VOP already. Since these 2 points are symmetric but opposite potential, there must be equal of 2 times the potential on P. The total of that will be 2 times of the potential on P. Okay. But what is VOP? We have already seen that it is equals to rho L by 2 pi epsilon log K. This is something that we have already seen, and the 2 in the numerator get cancel out and you will left with rho L pi E log K. Okay. So now what is K in terms of S and H? So the expression of K in terms of H, A and S. So these are important to us because these are the one which are determining where we have to place. So it is good to know that what is the value of K in terms of H and A. So for that we will solve this and we will get this equation. Okay, so we will get K in terms of A and H, and it is a quadratic equation. When we will solve, we will have two solutions. One is positive root and another is negative root. Okay, so which corresponds that the positive root, which is this plus sign, will corresponds to equipotential in the right side, and negative root will corresponds to equipotential in the left side. Just to indicate that this is K and this is K dash. This is positive root, this is negative root. And you can show that K into K prime actually is equals to 1. So going back to potential, P into P prime, the potential between point P on the conductor with positive charge density and the conductor on negative charge density, that is P prime. So you will see that P into P prime, from this relationship you will get that K is equals to 1 by K bar. So you can substitute for each other and you will see that this will be equals to rho L by pi epsilon log K, and something that we have already seen. Now what is K? K is equals to H by A because it's a positive root, so it's a plus sign. Okay, then H by A square minus A under root. Now this is the value of K, so you get the potential difference V. P into P prime is equals to rho L by pi epsilon log value of positive root of this quantity. Okay, and then capacitance per unit length of these two parallel lines is given by charge density rho L divided by the potential difference, and this potential difference is given by this equation. So this rho L will get cancelled and pi into epsilon will go in the numerator. The expression for capacitance per unit length. So this expression for capacitance per unit length can actually be simplified considering provided that H is greater than A. It happens that if H by A is ratio is around 10 or more or greater than 10, then quantity will become 2H by A. How? Because this is larger than this, so we can ignore this. This square and under root will get cancelled, so it is 2H by A. Okay. So capacitance per unit length can be approximately written as pi epsilon log 2H by A. So that's all how we calculate capacitance for two parallel lines. So that is the discussion on capacitance. So that's all for today's lecture. Thank you.